Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are so excited to have Dara here with us, career expert. We're going to let her talk to you about who she is and what she does. But as you know, this month's theme is ready, set, goals. And so as we end to the end of the year, we want to talk about what goals look like for us. Oftentimes we have personal goals, but are we really thinking about career goals? And so that's what our topic is today. So Dara, if you'll tell us who you are and what do you do?
Hi, everyone, and thank you for having me, Vanessa. My name is Daralynn, and I am a talent acquisition recruiter. So I'm a senior recruiter, so I have recruited in pretty much every industry, government, technology, healthcare, and I've been recruiting for over a decade. I love talking with people about how to successfully create that career path, and from curating that resume all the way up to getting in that position and flourishing. So I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Thank you. We love to have recruiters on here because y'all have the secret sauce, you can help us stand out. So what we're talking about is goals today. So what do you think career goal setting, why do you think that's really important?
I think career goal setting is so important because one, the economy is changing day by day. So the average dollar today is going to be totally different in 10 or 20 years. So really being able to set yourself up for success for the future is so important. And the best way to do that is to figure out what you want to do and how you can continually increase in that. Statistics show that if you stay in a position for 2 years and you don't leave, you're losing money, especially if you're working in the same industry. So the idea is that, no, we don't want to be a job hopper, but at the same time, we do want to take advantage of what our job and what our career financially pays, and how can we take advantage of that? So I think it's so important to definitely create a plan and try to get as close to it as possible.
Wow, 2 years?
Yes.
I am dating myself because I remember back in the day when I graduated from college, you want to stay at a job like 5, 6, 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
So to hear 2 years, great. What about examples of short-term goals, right? Like, so as someone, we're nearing the end of the year, we're ramping up for next year. What do you think are some examples of what someone can create as a short-term goal in their career?
Definitely. I think it's really determining what you want to do. And a short-term goal could be, hey, maybe I want to work in technology, going online and going to like Coursera or finding some type of certification program that's maybe 8 to 10 weeks, or shoot, they have some that are 1 day, and definitely gaining that experience and gaining that knowledge. Doing those courses is really twofold, because one, you walk away with the knowledge of having this name and this certification, but then you also walk away with prospects as far as colleagues who have also done the same thing. So now you have a group or a cohort of people who are interested in doing what you're doing, and you all can help each other to get to where you need to go. So definitely figuring out what are some short-term goals. Maybe that's updating my resume. Maybe that's taking a certification course. Maybe that's doing a refresher. Whatever you can do to kind of take baby steps toward your goals is so important.
Awesome. We always hear people say, go, up level your skill sets. I didn't think about the network you create in the class of people that you're in. And then they go out to different jobs. And now you have connections in different places. I've never thought about that before.
Yeah, I remember when I took a course at a university in Michigan, and one of the managers, she was a human resource manager for one of the largest casinos in Michigan. And we were talking about like FMLA and how that worked and the stigma around it. And she was really able to give me some insight, and I was able to take that back to my job and talk about, these are some of the things that we can do and that we can set in place so A and B and C doesn't happen. And that wasn't something that I learned from a professor. It was something that I learned from a colleague. So definitely building that network is so important to upgrading your skills.
Right. Do you think that networking has become hard? Is it harder to do that in a world where we're virtual?
I think yes and no. I think that it's really all about creating some type of strategic plan. So I may say, you know what, I am interested in cybersecurity. So I can go on LinkedIn and I can find 50 people and message them and say like, hey, I'm interested in cybersecurity. I would love to chat with you for 15 minutes. Out of those 50 people, one person may reach out to you. I think we limit ourselves when we think about just our personal network, when the world is so much bigger than our personal network. So sometimes we have to step outside of that. Also, joining organizations and groups that have those same fields and industries in mind. I'm a part of a couple organizations where they send emails with, they have speaker series and they have recruiters that come and talk and they post jobs. So then you're also saying like, hey, you know, I'm interested talking to that president or whoever is sending those posts. Hey, I'm interested in working for this company. Is there someone that you can connect me with at that company? So I think it's easier, but it can be harder because you have to pin down a date and a time, and you really have to step outside of your comfort zone in order to be able to kind of like nail those dates down.
Right, right. So you have to be intentional and strategic. Love that.
Yes.
Now, anytime we bring up the word goals, or you can Google it, look it up, you always hear the term SMART goals. So we hear the term SMART goals all the time, but what does that really mean when it comes to creating goals for your career?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm necessarily a fan of SMART goals. I think you either have short-term goals or long-term goals. And really being able to break down your long-term goals into small baby steps, it's really what it's all about. We have to enjoy the journey, and the journey is being able to say, you know what, I'm looking for this type of position in tech. I need to create a strategic plan to reach out to X amount of people and apply to X amount of jobs per day. How can I network my way into this? How can I apply my way into this? How can I do certifications and gain that experience to get into that role? So I think, you know, having achievable goals and reachable goals and all those great things are great, but I think it's really about what you do every day that gets you to that place.
Yeah, so not getting so caught up in all those different acronyms and different things. As a leader though, so we have several of our subscribers that are managers and they lead teams. So as a leader, how can you encourage your team to set goals?
I think that's a great question. And I want to say that where I work right now, my leader is amazing. She listens, she understands the learning curve. She's done the job before, so she knows all of the ins and outs. She knows the pitfalls and she knows the issues, but she's also able to know her employees and be able to understand what their personal goals are. The first week I was there, she asked me, are you interested in being a leader? You know, and I told her like, wait, I need to learn how to log into the system first. Like, I'm not really thinking about that, but there are some people who are like, yes, I want to be a leader. This is what I want to do. So being able to be that type of leader that says, okay, this is what they want to do. This is how I'm going to help them get there. When I was a leader many moons ago, I had an employee, we worked in a sales environment, but she was an accountant major. And so for her, sales is not, you know, you have to be a certain type of personality to work in sales. And it was just not a fit for her. And I could tell by her numbers, I could tell how when she came into the office, I could just tell. And so I sat her down and I asked her what the issue was. And she was just saying like, I'm a numbers girl. Like I don't really like talking to people. I don't like selling. And so what I did as a leader was that anything that had to do with numbers, whether it was making sure that our deposits went to the bank and that the numbers matched, or counting up our sales for the week, or any type of relationship, being a liaison between us and corporate headquarters when it came to the money and the revenue, she had a hand in that and she worked with me hand in hand. And so she was able to get promoted into an accountant in the corporate office, but she needed to have the experience. And the only way as a leader that you can make sure that you're guiding your employees to where they need to be is by understanding what their passions and their desires are and walking hand in hand with them for them to get that skill set to move them into the position. Because otherwise they're going to be in a position that they don't like, and you're going to just have a seat where someone is doing barely enough just to get by. You know, how can we help push them along to where they need to go so that we can bring someone else in, train them up, and move them along as well?
Yes, I think
that's really the goal.
Yeah, I think that sounds like you have an amazing boss and you're a great leader as well, because I think that really matters too. I think leadership is not just leading to the bottom line, right? It's also empowering the people that you lead and seeing their strengths and weaknesses. For example, the accountant young lady, you being aware of, hey, this role may not be the best, but what can we do to bring that out of her? So I think that's super important. So those listening, if you are leading teams, it's important that you not only just look for what they're good at, but what areas are they struggling in, and how can you help fill that gap in?
Mm-hmm.
Are there any tools to keep your team accountable towards goals? So let's say as a leader, you're setting up goals and talking to your team about goals. Are there any tools to help your team keep accountable?
I think definitely having meetings and sitting down and kind of talking about it, but it should be fun. It shouldn't be, oh, we have to sit down and talk about this project right now. But what are your goals? So are you interested in helping IT, launch, Outlook throughout the organization, because maybe you guys are using another, system. So let's sit down and talk about like how you can help. How can I connect you to leadership in the IT to help you figure out what that transition would look like? Are you interested in helping bring on 20 new interns and you want to be over that project? Okay, let's sit down and work out a plan. I'll let you work independently, but let's meet once a month to get an idea of where you are in the project. So I think really making it project-based and them being able to have something to show, based on what they're interested in doing is very important. And I think that will be successful. Oh, I can't hear you.
I was on mute. I was saying I think check-ins are super important. I don't think people do them enough because we're so busy, right? We're moving and going into the business, but I think it's super important. And then what challenges do you think people have when setting goals? So we can, all these great tips you're giving, but what are challenges you think people face when they're setting or achieving their goals?
I think sometimes people don't know what they want to do. They don't know what the next step is. They're like, I love accounting. I don't necessarily want to be a manager, but I don't want to be an accountant anymore, but I still want to work with numbers. And I think that's when leadership and mentorship really comes into play. Because who can you reach out to? Who can be a resource to you to say, like, these are your skill sets. Let's figure out in the company internally where your skill set may lie. It may not be in the accountant realm. It may be in grants. It may be, in another accounts payable. Like it just may be somewhere else. So where can we find a space where you may decide you want to do project management because you're still dealing with budgets, but you're not, specifically doing accounting. So I think mentorship and leadership plays a part in that, and really doing the research to figure out how your skill set fits either internally within your organization or externally in the world. I mean, jobs are being created, new jobs are being created every day. So how can you combine your specific skill sets to take you to the next level?
Awesome. Yes. I think that, I think sometimes just doing the inner work, like you said, it's hard to set a goal when you're not real clear on where you want to be or who do you want to show up to be. So I totally agree with that. This has been really great. This has been good. Some great answers for our subscribers. We at Workspace Spark love to give practical things, right? Because we want you to be able to take this information and use it right away. So thank you so much for joining us. Can you let our subscribers know how to reach you?
Yes, so you can reach me on LinkedIn. My name is Daralynn Walker. You can friend me, and if you have questions or if you need advice, definitely shoot me an email and I'll get back with you.
Yeah, so Daralynn was so awesome. We brought her back a second time. So make sure you check out her other interview with us too. But again, thank you so much for joining. And until next time, everyone, we'll see you next time.